everyone, and welcome to my podcast where we talk flowers, floral arranging, gardening, and more. I'm Tiffany Rutkowski, and my husband and I are the owners of Creative Designs by Tiffany, a floral and gift shop located in Dalgeville, New York. To find out more and stay up to date, visit our website at cdbytiffany.wordpress.com and connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm passionate about all things beautiful, mainly flowers, and teaching you how to savor all the things of it. You'll hear tips, tricks, and from some of my highly esteemed friends in the business. Today, I'm joined by Dave Warner, producer of Tiffany Talk.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm here. All right.
I was and Snezhana Vahtin of New York Glamour events. I know.
You said it right.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
Did I? Perfect.
Snezhana Vahtin.
I was going to do hers first and then just say Dave Warner because that's a really easy name to pronounce.
Yeah, really.
So anyway, we're recording today from the beautiful My Little Falls studio, and it's nice and air conditioned here today. So I'm really excited about today's conversation because Snezhana, basically how I found her is on Instagram because she had forever roses, and that's what sparked my interest in all of her work and everything that she does. And then New York Glamour events kind of is self-explanatory in what it is. So it's basically just like events that you put together, and I see you like do balloon arrangements and then the florals too. So basically that's how I connected with her on. I'm moving away from the microphone. I'm sorry.
Talk into the microphone.
That's basically how I found her. And I've just, as a florist and beginning florist, you look at different people that do things and like your inspiration and like your Pinterest board almost. And so that's how my Instagram's become. And you have become one of my inspirations on the things that you do. And someday I'm like, maybe I'll be able to do something as big as she's doing. And with the, I think the glow lights are the new thing too that are really cool that you've been incorporating. And then you have a studio. So I can't wait to talk about it today with you. So the first thing I guess I'll ask you is, so this is what I try and ask everybody when they first come in, is what's the best advice you've ever been given in your field? So starting your business, what do you think it's been?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't even think or thinking about it. Actually, I'm like, I don't know if I got advice from actual business. I just went for it, and then it's just trial and error. So basically what I could just tell everybody is like, don't give up. And if you're passionate, just to pursue it. I know when I started, I kind of dreamt big and I'm like, oh my goodness. And in our area, I'm like, will people do this? Will people not?
Right.
So don't be afraid to take risks and just go for it and try it. Like that's how I even started, was just, I found one of my friends or somebody I knew actually. And she was having a wedding, and I was like, oh, can I just do your decor? It started from there. Right. And then the next wedding I did florals, and that was my first time doing fresh florals. So, and then over the years, I just recently started my Forever Flowers, and I could talk about like how and when and why I did that as well, because eventful business, like the events, it's only summer, fall, that's it.
And that's it. That's what happened last year. The whole pandemic always comes up in these things, but that's what happened last year is that you probably had like no events after a certain point. So then you have to start thinking about other things that you can do. And so is that how you got into the Forever Roses? Because that's what led me to you, basically, the first thing. Do you know what Forever Roses are, Dave?
No, I'm sitting here going, okay. I'm like, what is that? Ones that turn black and then you just keep in a vase forever, or what?
Like Beauty and the Beast-esque type thing.
Yeah.
So explain to us Forever Roses for anybody who's listening and hasn't heard of
So
them.
basically they are fresh, real roses that are preserved. And the way they are is like when they grow, they're injected with a wax, and then they go through a preservation process where they get dehydrated. But since there's a wax in them, it keeps its shape, form, and color and texture. So it looks like a fresh, I mean, it is a fresh rose, but it's looks and is a fresh rose that's preserved for a longer period of time. So basically they could last up to a year, if not even longer.
Yes.
And the way these flowers are is everything that helps fresh flowers live is the opposite for this. So they have to be like away from like water. You can't water them.
Really?
But I'll show you pictures, because I guess you'll have to have a better idea of what that is.
It is. Well, that's what I thought of for this Valentine's Day too, because everybody has those roses. They last maybe a year. That's about it. And then they're dead. And that's, everybody says, I just spent $50, $60 on a dozen roses.
Your flowers, the last yellow roses you gave me lasted like 2.5 weeks.
I don't think I could go for a year on those.
No,
I know.
Okay. But you see, I honestly, after a while, I started looking at a different perspective. So I'm like, what do we spend money on? Like we go out to eat, like, you know, the sushi and this and that. And we spend like $50 just for one meal. So one meal that lasts a few hours versus a fresh arrangement in your home that could last, yes, maybe a week and a half. But I think it's just psychological in a way, like what we put our value on, like, oh, these flowers died. But you just ate yesterday and you're hungry today. That's within like 24 hours. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I think my meals last longer than that, but we're not going to go there.
You sure?
Some people, though. That's it. Yes. And it's true.
Sure? You eat once and then 24 hours later, you don't eat? So I guess it depends what our values and what we appreciate. You know, so I look at it a little bit differently now.
And they're beautiful too, the way that she packages them and stuff. So they're in these boxes. So they're not like vases that you'd get, and it's something different. So, you know, if you have somebody that says, I don't want to maintain any roses, and that's something that happens a lot with the floral business, you have people, and I have people that bring back their vases and they haven't changed their water once in the 2 weeks that they've had their roses or any other kind of flower. And you look at the vases and they're basically black around the rims. So these are no maintenance either. And they still look beautiful. And they did have a scent to them too. So when I had them, they smelled beautiful in the shop and everything too. So that was kind of the draw to have something different in the shop too. And that's what you do. And then on top of it too, you have all of your events that you're doing. So,
but do they keep? Okay, so
I'll show you
do they keep the?
Yes, it shows and pictures.
You can scroll.
Okay.
So they are real roses,
and they're
different. If we're looking for you on Instagram, what are we looking for?
Okay, so I have a couple Instagrams. So for the Forever Roses, it's L Floral, and I can spell it ELLEFLEUR.
Are you trying to trick us like your name?
Yes. I'm just trying. It's like, if you want to find me, you have to work a little hard.
It is intentional. That's perfect.
So it's L Floral, which it translates to like a she flower, but like, you know, it's more feminine.
Okay. But so you're saying they keep their smell, but even up to a year? They're gonna
the smell, I wouldn't say it lasts up to a year. It can, but not quite. The smell, I feel like it fades away a little bit faster. But the bloom and the look and, you know, the lusciousness stays.
And be perfect for a room like this where you don't have any light either, because it's not like something you want to put right in your kitchen window with all that direct sunlight, like when you're growing a plant. So remember that. So see, you're learning all these things now.
You guys have given me too many instructions already. This is like more than 2 steps.
well, hey, once you get them, you can set them on your table and you're done with them.
I like
How's
this.
that?
I like the idea.
That's easy, right?
My brain's cooking.
And an investment, like she was saying too. So that's a different way to look at it. And it's perfect because it's an investment that you could have almost a year.
My wife would call that an investment in our relationship. That's what she said when I bought a really expensive mattress.
That's good though, right? You have to have those. So,
okay. All right.
How beautiful they are. Yeah. And it's different because they're not the ones that you can do in, you know, in a vase. You'd have to have water in them. And then again, you have to change the water and it's more maintenance.
You know, you said the vase and you said people bring them back to you. With the black rings, how often should you change the water? Just that's what went through my head.
So I usually do it at the shop. I usually do it every 3 days. So generally, when you get a vase, though, the food's in the vase, and then you don't have food again to come in. So sometimes you want to mix the water in a little bit. It depends on the flowers too that are in it. So like sunflowers, I don't really like to use sunflowers because their stems are so dirty, basically. Then you have all these other flowers that they're clean stems. So you look in a week, and the water could still be clear. But if you had those sunflowers in there in 2 days, that water's going to look murky. So it depends on the flowers that you're getting to. And then I usually use a tip that if you can see the bottom of the stem and it looks like it's sucking up the water, it's still okay. Otherwise, give it a quick trim, fresh water, and it'll do a little bit better. So that's on the fresh flowers.
And you said food. Can you put, I've heard the rumor, sugar?
Yeah, you can. Well, aspirin is what I've heard too. A lot of people do aspirin in warm water.
Another thing is bleach.
Yes.
Bleach. And a splash. Yes. Not like the tiniest little bit.
It kills bacteria.
So it kills the bacteria and bacteria kills the flower.
Yes.
So,
Just great, right?
I'm so smart now.
Maybe you might not be the type of person that would want to do bleach, though. If you're a Dave and listening, I wouldn't do the bleach.
When we mean a splash, it's like the tiniest bit. Or else they will probably die. They'll be like, like over-chlorinated and die.
So
I don't like bleach. I'm allergic to bleach. I get like a massive headache.
Then you should not use the bleach. Yeah, for sure. Definitely not. So
flowers are going to kill me.
Right. Well, these flowers, You just have to be careful.
Okay.
Don't make it a thing that it becomes dangerous for you, of course.
These are good tips, though.
So,
this is good.
It is. So, well, then the next part I wanted to talk to you about is then all of your events. So then Galmour events, and that is a different, I was going to ask you at the end, but so your Instagram handle for that is
the
different.
Galmour events.
Okay. So that's the one that I most found you on. So then what's Galmour, Dave? What do you think of when you think Galmour?
Victoria's Secret runway models.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you asked. I'm going to be honest.
So the Galmour events, that's what I was drawn to on it too, is that mostly where I'm located and in Dollarville and kind of the area, it's more like almost like a fieldy, like I don't know how to describe it, whimsical kind of looking. These Galmour events are like the hydrangeas and these beautiful beads and balloons.
This is the wedding we did. This wedding.
Yes.
This weekend.
Okay.
So when you think Galmour, like from top to bottom, so it's not just an arrangement. It's going around to the tables and making sure each little placemat has a sprig of something on it, or having table runners and these big and elaborate arches and things like that. So you're a master at that, I would say, on the things that I have seen and how it works. And people don't realize that's a whole different thing than, the floral business. You can have florals and things that you need to do, but then once you start getting into arches and installations is the key word. Installations are really hard because how many people probably go with you for an installation?
It could be 2, 3, depending on how much time. So it all depends on what kind of time crunch we have. So in our community, we have a little bit more time. So I could do a full arch in 3-4 hours with 3 or 4 girls, and I'll show you what that could look like.
Right. And so
when you show me, put it up to the camera. This one right here, the one that's looking at you.
Sorry.
There you go.
So this is the NY Galmour events, and this is like an example of a full arch. All the flowers on there are real. So basically, there's mechanics behind it that have to hold this water in place for us to be able to put the flowers in, and then for us to arrange.
So those are all live flowers.
All live.
Your phone blanked out on us.
Oh, probably.
It didn't like us anymore.
No. So with NY Galmour events, though, what they don't realize is not only florals,
right?
Too. So basically, it's everything. It's floral and event design. So the linens, the drapery, the like table accessories. So my goal was to come to one place and get one cohesive look.
Yes.
So basically, if you come to me, we could do the drapery, the backdrop, the centerpieces, and everything could have a flow. Right. Because there's a lot of event decorators, and it's a lot. So usually we subcontract. One does the linens, one does the accessories, one does the florals. Right. But with that, I think sometimes things kind of get lost.
They do. Absolutely.
Or you think one thing and somebody has a totally different vision, and then somebody does, burgundy, but then you're thinking of a different shade of burgundy. Exactly. And then when you bring it together, it's just like, what just happened?
And that's exactly something that happened to me with a wedding up in Dollarville last year. It was the same thing. So they had their linens taken from a separate place. I had the flowers, and I just had the flowers. So it's hard because you can't make it cohesive if you have 3 different people coming in, and then basically no communication in that sense. And then you go in there and you're like, I could have made this look a little different, or I could have had that green just a little bit different, or this tint just a little. So like with you, it's a one-stop shop basically, so that they can get everything from top to bottom, not have to worry about it. And then, that's the thing too, is the designing of it. I don't have linens. I'm just a florist. So the linens and the chargers, do you know what a charger is? Not a phone charger. Like the chargers that go underneath the place settings. Yeah.
I was in the room.
I'm throwing these words out here, and I'm like, I'm not sure if Dave knows what these words are, but
if I don't know, somebody listening might not know. So that's good.
And chargers and votives and all of those things that you can add, right? Yeah. So, and then they can see it, and you can put it together, and it's one person. So that's why I really like your business too, because it's one stop, and then you don't have to worry about, I have these flowers coming in from here, and I have these tablecloths coming in here, and I ordered this online. Can you make it work? Yeah. It's our nightmare as a florist.
You can't promise, because you don't know what shade, what this, what that, you don't know what texture is, how long is it? Is it long enough? Right. They in their head, they might think, it's long enough, and you order, and it's like a short runner. And then you put your flowers, and it still looks ridiculous. You know? So there's a lot of things that people don't consider. And I'm like, so when they come and they're like, I want to do this by myself, I'm like, that's totally fine. You could definitely do it, but X, Y, Z, this is what could happen. This is like, the outcome of what could be.
And
so.
Where does an event planner come in this? Is that somebody above who
That's honestly above me, because some people confuse me. I do minimal event planning. So if they do have favors or chargers or certain accessories, I will add that in. And that is still part of the wedding planning process. In my head, what I see a wedding planner be is day of. They are there, you know, making sure the bride is ready on time, make sure she's ready out the door on time to her event, make sure the grooms are on the way, make sure they have their bouquets, like all the details from like start to finish,
right?
You know, and then make sure like, you know, the cake person comes here, the DJ comes here, they know where everybody's standing, they know where everybody's sitting, they know, like they know all the details, where I am more of the decor perspective. So I come in and do anything related to decor. I'm not going to be there, basically
to make sure the wedding runs
exactly
off.
It runs off.
But how do they interact with you? I mean, should they be
For a planner?
I'm
Or a
asking
bride?
all this because I was just in Austin for my daughter's wedding and walked her down the aisle, and it was a Hawaiian Western combo thing on the water. It's very interesting. I'll show you pictures afterwards. But anyway, but that was
she was happy with it, and that was her vision. Was that her vision or no?
That was her vision. She was happy with that part, I think.
That's good. Yeah,
but
that's
I think
always good.
the planning side of it didn't go exactly because things, from my perspective of shooting weddings for like 40 years, usually I'm in charge of like how things happen, you know, and they just weren't happening there. No picture of a toast or things like that. Hour and a half before the photographers identified that I was the father of the bride. So, yeah. And so I was just sitting there going, they haven't taken a picture of me in an hour and a half. Not that I like my picture taken, but
still,
it was like,
your daughter, it's a big day.
They didn't identify the key people initially. So
and that would be if she did have a wedding planner, they should have been on it.
Yes.
Like, if she did, like this is the groom, let's make sure, you know, or like if your daughter wanted certain pictures, they will be like, photographer, you need this picture, this is what the bride requested. And that is what the planner does, all the nagging and all the little pet peeves and everything.
All the nagging.
Yeah, no, well,
exactly.
It is everything too, because I'm like, I don't know, like you want to get what you pay for. And
right.
Like, they're like, because you can't do everything. And the day of, your mind is elsewhere.
Right.
Because I even did my own wedding, like florals. And that was actually my first ever encounter with the fresh florals. And I'm trying to make my own bouquet and my hands are shaking. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Right.
So I'm like, I just gave it to my bridesmaids or one of my friends. I'm like, just do it. I don't know what you're doing. Right. Just do it, and that's it. Because your mind is just, I have to do this and this and that. And
absolutely. And that's part of the investment too, that it's so important. And as people are thinking now about more events and weddings and things going on, you don't realize, you think you can save this money. And I have people come in all the time in the store with flowers, because I just do flowers. The linens, all of that stuff is way above me. So it's just flowers. But what happens is that they'll come in and they'll say, I think I want to save money doing it this way. And then they come back after their event and they'll go, I should have had you do this. I shouldn't have gotten all those loose flowers and tried to make my bouquets. I shouldn't have done this, because they don't realize until afterwards that you're totally stressed out. Yes. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's a graduation party or just an event of some sort. It doesn't have to be a wedding. Yeah. It's anything, because everything else is taking your distractions. Exactly. So that's what we're coming in
as. Don't come in as planned and this and that. And then like,
we worry about that, not them. Right. Exactly. So, and that's part of it too, that's what you want to be able to look at. And so someone thinking, okay, I may not want a full event planner or event coordinator, it's worth it. And, if you can do it, I would suggest highly to do it. Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on there. So that's why I'm glad you were on today, because it's, there's not many people. That brings another thing up. There's not many people that do that. That's full service. So you'll have an event coordinator that does certain things, and then their hands are tied. There was one wedding that I did, and I said, I need the linen for the arch. Did you check with the bride? Well, it's the day of. I don't know where the linen is, and I can't put the flowers on until I get the linen. So, those little things that happen, you don't realize. So if you are planning a wedding or something, that's where these things come in as beneficial, because you would have brought your linen.
Yeah, I would have brought my linen. And I would have
you would have had time to do it and everything. Exactly. Yes. So yes. And then as far as the fresh flowers now, so you've gotten into fresh flowers, and we talked about this. So hydrangeas. Do you know what hydrangeas are?
Yes.
Yes. See, I figured you know hydrangeas.
You know why? Because the ants crawl all over them. You bring them in the house, the ants are all over them, and they come to the house, right? Isn't that true?
I don't know. Not the kind we use.
Maybe ours are treated.
I think with the right flower, they kind of like start in a ball and kind of then they.
Oh, that's a peony kind of.
Maybe I'm on peonies.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of peony.
Because those are sweeter.
Yes.
So I feel like ants would
peonies,
like.
Oh, okay.
Yes, are very.
Oh, hydrangeas. Okay, I know.
They're like the bushes. They're like greens and whites and blues.
Yeah.
And
sometimes the whites turn pink.
Yes.
There you go. That's the one.
Yes, that's it. So hydrangeas. So that was another thing too, with some of the things I've seen with you. So hydrangeas are beautiful, and you think of them as wedding flowers, but you've been using them a little bit outside of weddings and things too, and they're nice filling flowers. But a hydrangea, and this is something too in the store that people don't understand, they're a little bit more expensive They're worth it though, but you have to be able to use them right. So I can't just put one hydrangea into an arrangement. It looks really weird. It's not balanced. So you have to be able to use them right. And that's what I've noticed on all of your things that you put together. You have it's a perfect balance. And I don't know if Dave can see it or if you have any pictures of it, but it has to be,
pictures
you know, you can't just have one hydrangea in an arrangement. You know, it has to be this balance of things.
So basically this is a hydrangea arrangement.
Well, that looks like quite a few in there.
Yes. Okay. So it makes it look very like rich and full and luscious. You know,
glamour.
That I love that as my filler flower. I'm like, I don't know where you get them. I mean, they are pricey, but where I got them, they're actually not that bad.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we'll have to talk about that.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't know.
They are comparatively to like your carnations and your daisies. They're a little more pricier. And you know, like the Lysianthus and things. This is when you're starting to get into those flowers that not necessarily are the grocery store flowers. So they're the better flowers that you're looking at. And obviously,
and roses
right. Yes. And that's what you want to use for me. That's what I'd want to use for an event. So that's me. You know, and as far as for like the, you know, the field flowers and things, those are great, but these are a little bit more lasting in a way. And I've noticed that too with the different kind of flowers that you use. The field flowers, local flowers are great, but they tend to fade a little bit more. These are a little bit more substantial. And I'm not sure, like you and I will have to talk later about where we get our flowers, but where you get them from, they do have a little bit more of a staying power because you have to figure too, when you're doing tons and tons of tables, they're not all going to be done that morning. So you have to have them be able to sit overnight and then go to the event the next day. And a lot of people don't factor that in either because you're not doing it generally the morning of. You know, you get married at 1 o'clock, they're not being done at 9 o'clock that morning. So you want a long lasting flower too. So then by the end of the night, they still look beautiful. So, and then, that's basically some tips on these events and things. So, and then as far as your balloon arrangements, so now there's another picture coming up.
Because there's a lot of trends right now. Yes. So, and then we're like here and there. So as soon as somebody requests, I'm like, yes, we'll do it. Yes. Sure. Let's try. And then sometimes I do an event. I'm like, never again.
Yes.
Like, unless I get paid like double, triple. Sometimes I do learn. You know, it's like you learn and it's like,
yes,
I won't be doing that. And then there's certain things, once you get the hang of it, it's the opposite. Like you love it and you do it. And I'm like trying to wear my wheels.
And that's so you have, let's see, pampas grass is new. So this is more like
this is like the new,
Using pampas grass?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is like a mini video.
You flipped away.
I did. Oh my goodness, I could see all my clients.
You have the pampas grass and then like the palm fans and then bleaching now is big. And those are like the boho wedding type of things. Yes. And the bleach again, maybe not for Dave, but it's a look that's achieved. And then
just the arch.
Who comes up with this?
It was just a long.
This is you women.
You women are Pinterest.
No, you women are doing this because y'all come up with these colors.
Yes.
Like
thanks to Pinterest.
Mauve versus whatever.
It is like they say, you plan 3 weddings: my wedding, my budget, and then the Pinterest wedding.
Yes, it's true. It's very true, and that happens a lot. And that's why I hope people listen to this too. So then you have an idea of what your priorities are too, because you can have the Pinterest worthy wedding, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive than if you talk to someone like Snezhana. Did I get it right that time? She might be able to say
this is all balloons. Yes, like this is all the balloons. There's like 400 plus balloons on here.
Which balloons I could? I would not get into 400 balloons. Right? God bless you for that.
Well, thank you for balloon pumps and people that help. But,
and that's another thing too is you have people that help, which is great. So. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Could you do that on a weekend?
No.
Dave?
Are they all helium filled?
No. They don't have to be helium filled. So helium is basically if they want them to flow up. But this, basically, we do like a lot of clusters, and then you use like a lot of fishing wire, and then you just intertwine them in such a way. Weave them, intertwine them. Yes. We weave balloons, and then put flowers.
See, this is where it takes a creative hand, because if someone just is thinking they want to put this balloon arrangement together, and then all of a sudden it just flops over. You're
structurized. Oh, yes. This was one of those things.
Yes.
This is making eloping look a lot better. I'm just telling you.
Don't say that.
It's still pricey because you still have to pay all your planners. So
it is.
You don't get away from that wedding planner, especially if you elope. Yes. And that's where they're like, oh, you're coming from like opposite side of the world, ooh, we can charge you an arm and a leg because you have no control.
Right.
You know?
Right. See, to me, this makes me excited. And I'm 5 years out from our wedding, so I'm not planning my wedding anymore, but this makes me excited to think about all the things that you can plan. So maybe not for a guy or for Dave thinking of it, but for anybody else listening to this would make me think, oh, what can I do? And what can I do next for my wedding or my bridal shower or my bachelorette? So that's what I think of it. So
I'm like, that's like me. I get the ability to remarry.
Yes.
Like a million times. It's not my wedding, but it's like, but I had a contribution to it. So I'm like, I get to make it happen. You know,
this is completely off it has nothing to do with any of it. So if you could do it again, like I think of this all the time because I see all the wedding gowns now and I follow all the wedding gowns and I think, oh, if I could do it again, I would do it this way. Exactly. So and all the things that you would know, do you think you would do it again or not? Differently? Or I'm
like, our 10 years this year and I'm like, right. I'm like, I don't fit in my wedding dress, but I could re-decor and I can re-invite. And I'm like, you know, I can. I'm like, it's coming up this year. So that's basically the only thing I'm looking forward to. I'm like, oh, okay, 10 years.
Right. Yes.
Let's have an anniversary.
Yes, that's great. That's exactly how I think of it. I'm like, let's renew our vows at 5 and 10 and 15 years just so we can keep redoing it.
So I could redecorate and
most of the people don't understand how scared I am right now. With sitting in the studio with you two.
It's so I know, that's it. And now you know so much more and all these new trends and stuff. I'm like, I wish we had these things. Right. Yeah. Well, we won't scare you too much with that anymore, I guess. But anyway, so it basically, have you had one event that was like your favorite to do without, you don't have to pick the person, but did you have one that you were like, this was my favorite from top to bottom to do?
I don't know. I think I had quite a few, unfortunately.
That's good though.
You know, but yeah. So like when people do like the arch, like that full blown arch, and it was a stunning piece, and people were like, wow, like you could do that. I'm like, yeah, I can. Yep. Wow. So every time, and not only that, I amaze myself. So I'm like, okay, we did that. Okay, let's see what can we do next,
right?
You know.
Yes, that's
so
awesome.
It's really nice. Like it's like a challenge for me, and as soon as we're done with the wedding, it's like, I achieved my child, or I reached my goal, or I did this. And then you get to experiment with a lot of different styles.
Yes.
So that's the thing with me. Like, I don't have like one style. I have multiple because I do what the bride wants. So if she wants boho, I could do boho. So if she wants like classic elegant, I do classic elegant. And that's the very fun part. So some companies, you see one and it's the same look all across the board. Or for me, I like to play around with it. That's where I keep my creative side doing. So I don't have to be like, oh, it's the same white, pink, and you know, whatever. Absolutely. I'm like, oh, I do boho. Okay, let's do the chocolate roses and tan roses. And then boho. That's the pampas grass.
He doesn't know what boho
is. Is that like bougie?
No, not like bougie. No, bougie. No,
it's just very, very expensive.
Right. That's it.
Sounds like a bougie wedding to me.
Well, and you know, it's very true because like that's one of the things I told Dave on one of the earlier podcasts is that you have to find somebody that can achieve your look. And that's one thing I'll say for me. And I had somebody in there today talking about weddings. And I said, you know, if you know what my style is, that's my style. If I didn't have a style like that, I would send them to you because they'd say, she can do this. And I can know this is where she's at. And this is the color schemes. I'm not a big, bright person. I don't see the value in big and bright. Not that I don't see the value in it. I'm just not, that's not my style. And I would say, you want big and bright? That's who you find. And then you'll see that when you find the people to coordinate for you, it goes so much easier because they can achieve that look for you without having to try. Then it doesn't seem like work. It's just, you know, and it's something that they love to do. And you're in full confidence they're going to do it perfectly for you. So that's why I love looking at all of your stuff. And I'm like, oh, someday I can mix in blue and purple and get it to look that great with yellow. I don't think I can do that yet, you know, and it's just flawless watching the things that you do.
Thank you. Well, because I look at you and I'm like, she has a shop. Oh my goodness. Because at one point in time, I was like, do I go completely floral? So, and that's the thing with me. Once I do 1 or 2 events, that's enough for me. So people message me like, can you just do a few bouquets? And I'm like, unfortunately, I don't, because for me, it's more cost effective if I do everything versus just one bouquet and, you know, 3, you know, little, you know, bridesmaids bouquets and boutonnieres. So that's where I would obviously send them to you or another florist because like for me, it's actually better if I do everything because what people don't realize, we order like minimum quantities and whatever, but then if you need it for a cake, we have it for a cake. If you need it like last minute things, you know, if we need it for like little, you know, bud vases or like cocktail tables, you know, things you forget, they don't calculate. I have the florals. So you don't have to be like, oh, I don't have, because when you order from a floral shop, If you order 20 centerpieces, that is all you get.
Yep.
That's it.
That's true.
Versus where I have, like, I'll have extra greenery or extra little roses, and they're like, oh, can we add a touch here or a touch there? And I'm more than able to do that.
Right. And
when it's your wedding.
And it's specialized
and
for
you already spent it. Yeah, you already spent that
Mm-hmm.
money. It's already there. So because I always order extra, because it's like you can't just calculate to the T and then, you know, it doesn't work out, because flowers are the same thing. You get them. Some of them are faulty. Some of them do die. And it's not anything that you did wrong. It could just be, you know, it's a bad flower.
Yep, it's part of it. It's part of it.
It has, like, you know, it's sick or this or that, you know, and then people don't realize that. So that's the fun part, and that's the amazing part. And that's how I can do all this. And then after doing it once or twice, like, okay, maybe next time I don't need, you know, this many florals. So I've learned over the years what is like the minimum. I create, like, what I say is like a formula. That's the other thing I do, actually, is basically if you want to DIY, but you don't know how much of what you want, I could come and create a formula. Like, you need to spend, you know, this many flowers on a centerpiece, like one hydrangea, certain roses, whatever. And we create a formula of what you need to make that centerpiece. But again, it's very time consuming.
Yes.
Because people do DIY. I'm like, okay, you have to process your flowers.
Yes.
They get their flowers and the hydrangeas come in a bag. I'm like, okay, even if the hydrangea comes in a bag, you have to cut it and put it in water. Yes. How many people do you think take off that bag and put it in water?
Right.
Maybe one out of like 20. I'm like, no, they're going to die, you guys. You have to, you know, like, because there's, you know, a process for the flowers, obviously, to process, to get the full bloom of a rose, to get a full, you know, lush for the hydrangea. Or some people come like, the flowers are dead. I'm like, no, they're not dead. They're sleeping. It's normal. It's okay. Like, no, they're dead. They're dead. They're so limpy. They're not. And then you put them in water and, like, you
they come right back. Yes.
Yeah, they come right back. So, and it just scares people. And it's like, do you need that headache?
Right. Right.
So hire,
and especially when you're 2 days.
So exactly. Hire for exactly. And you call in the flower people, my flowers are dead. You have to send me new ones. They're like, no, they're not. They're fine.
Yes.
They'll be okay.
You're paying for the expertise. That's it. You really are in this. And especially with big events, I can't imagine if I had a huge event that I would try and do it on my own. For our wedding, we did very simple flowers. My mother-in-law did them, and she was stressed out with what she had to do because I had other things that I needed to be doing. So it's one of those things that you have to kind of think about. And when you're planning your wedding, now, how early are you pretty booked for this year? Obviously, that's another thing. People are last minute, and you can't be last minute on things. So
especially with florals, because florals I order a month ahead of time.
Right.
And that's even, you know, if I have like the opening.
Right.
So summer is completely booked. I think October, November, we have a couple like dates open. I'm not even sure. I would have to look. And then people are already booking into
for next year. And that's basically like you see all the wedding things that they tell you about 9 months to a year earlier. You want to go and start figuring out your florals. It is really important because we have to plan too on how quickly you're buying things and when they're coming in. Some things are out of season. At least for me, some things when I get things in, because I try and go more seasonal with things. And, you know, especially with the whole COVID thing, at this point, you're not
Prices
guaranteed. Oh, yes, they did. And it's
Yeah.
crazy. So those things you can kind of navigate a lot better than if they're coming in and saying, I'm getting married in 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's like, sorry.
Fake flowers? Yes, exactly. Yeah. Even that, I just say, no, I can't do that.
To have fun with that wedding.
Right. I had one woman come in one weekend, and this was last year, and it was during the kind of the height of COVID, and they were getting married, and it was a quick wedding, and I understand that, but she called and she said, well, I would like one white bouquet, and I need flip-flops attached to it. And I said, when do you need it? By noon, and it was 9 o'clock that Saturday morning. I said, I can't do that. You just can't. You
can't expect us to have all white exactly what you want. You know,
and flip-flops. That was the best part. Yeah, flip-flops. I had to
like,
have those on hand too. I said, no, I can't do that. And so just don't do that to anybody.
So, please think logically. Like, why would we have flip-flops? And
right.
Why
would? Yes.
Yeah. So when florists do, like, we plan accordingly. So that's why it's like it's a month ahead, at least a month ahead. So I know because flower market does fluctuate, and sometimes like I'll order florals and then they call me back. We don't have this flower. Can we substitute it with this flower? Right. And that's because they don't have any, and that's already a month ahead of time. Yes. So imagine a week or two they don't have anything, and how insanely expensive it would be to even just ship it here. Yes. You know, and so on and so forth. Because they come from like Ecuador, they come from Texas, they come from California. It's not like it's across the street, you know. Right.
Texas, a whole other country.
Right. Well, yes, in Texas. But we talked about that with Lisa when she was on to the local grower of how like the spacing on the planes. I don't think you even realize like there's space on planes that are actually allotted just for those florals. And then if that that space is filled by somebody else's, you're kind of out of luck. And so with the whole COVID thing, it really did shift it crazy in our market, that there wasn't as much space anymore. So it's important to be planning ahead as much as you possibly can.
Does that space come back, or is it still the same issue?
You know, I'm honestly not sure with the tourism. It seems like right now it's been okay, but even like for this week, there's graduation now coming up in Dallasville, and somebody wanted pink roses, and I got on the list 2 weeks ago, and they said, we're not sure if we can even get the pink roses into you. So I said, so it's, you know, and you're looking ahead and saying, well, I'm not sure what the demand is going to be at that point. So for florists, you know, everyday florists, you have to think ahead 2-3 weeks and hope that the stuff that you get in is going to be right. So, so it's probably nicer to do the event so you know a little bit further ahead. So, but basically, I'm so glad you could come on today and talk about it. So, give us your handles again for Instagram or Facebook or whatever you might have. And then you do have a pop-up shop or a kind of pop-up. See, in the pop-up shops, we like pop-ups now. That's a new. It's like boho for you.
Because people are like, what is a pop-up shop?
We have bougie pop-up shops.
Yes. That's well, that's it. That's a new thing. Well, you know, the pop-up. So anyway, the pop-up shops. But are you in the location, or explain where you are?
So I'm at my location. I'm by appointment only because we are in full wedding bloom season. So Mondays and Tuesdays are probably like my appointment days. But the pop-up shop I do basically in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So and that was like this year was the first year to try it because of COVID and this and that. So we decided like why not, you know, try it, and it did very well for like our first year ever. So basically pop-up shops would be for next year would be Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. And then summer is just full-blown wedding season for me. And white glamour events for like if you want like birthdays, baby shower, bridal shower, or your wedding. And again, it's like full planning as much as or as little as you need. If you need just florals, we could do just florals. If you need everything, we could do everything. So that's the NY Galmour, and it's GLAMOR events. That was intentional, but whatever. That's okay. And then for the Forever Flowers, it's out floral. We are going to be getting a new shipment within like the next 2 weeks, and we're going to have a lot of beautiful colors. And these are the roses that last a year. That's L Floral. And you could just message me through like the Instagram. I only have Instagram. I don't have Facebook, or call me. But if we'll have like
what's your phone number?
Call my phone number 315-360-1627. So that way you could, you know, like, hey, I'm messaging about the Forever Flowers or about, you know, whatever else you would need. But yeah, so the Forever Flowers are available all year round. Just message me or DM like, oh, my birthday, you know, somebody's birthday's anniversary. I mean, you kind of know ahead of time. So if you do want it,
always plan ahead.
Yes, a little bit, you know, because we can't, you know, I'm a mom with 2 children, 5 and 1.5. I can't just drop everything. Like, I have like arrangements available, but if you want, like, I want red, I want yellow, I want, you know, some like specific bizarre colors, because we do have, and I'll be posting all our colors. We have like, you know, the classic whites, reds, pinks, but then we have very unique, like we're gonna have like a mustard yellow rose, and then like a you know, different color, like just different colors. So you never know what the market is. We have
be on the lookout, right?
Jewelry boxes that you could do, or like little makeup boxes with the roses for the vanity.
Those are more under the bougie, as
those are a little bit bougie.
Those are the bougie, you know,
they last, like I guarantee a year. Again, they can last a little bit longer, but you know, I can't follow like, where'd you put them? Did you keep them in the sun? Did you put them in the bathroom? I don't know, you know, so on and so forth. So, yeah, you could keep a lookook. Thanks for having me.
Yes,
this was
thank
so fun.
Yes, I'm so glad you got to come down. And again, so and you service, just real quickly, so you service like really, we're located right
for
now.
The Little Falls. So yeah, I do all the way from basically from Rochester to Albany. So we even have, but that's the furthest I'll go. We did like further, but it's okay. So
Rochester to Albany is quite a stretch. So
it is, but that's why I only do like 1 or 2 events. So once I'm booked, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm satisfied. And I don't like, you know, triple, quadruple book, because that is so much. Like this weekend we had like basically 4 events, 2 weddings and like a birthday. And that was like, I'm like, I did that on accident because of COVID. Because, you know, people came last minute. Like, never again.
Yes.
So I'm happy with my 1 or 2, do it perfect or as perfect as possible, humanly possible. And then,
which is another thing that I love about her too, because that's the other thing is a lot of places that you see, they try and double book and triple book. And there's 6 different weddings going on. But then how special do you feel? Right. You know?
Exactly.
So, that's why I like what you do too. So
I'm like, because you can't give it to your all in every, you know, and then something like, if something pops up. If something like even this weekend, one of the florals we put in, the bride was like, or the, you know, even the family were like, I don't really like it. So I was there to stay to fix it.
Right.
But a florist, if they bring it and you don't like the pink or the whatever, you're stuck with it. Yes. They can't replace. They're not going to be replacing, you know, 100 like hot pink for white or whatever, you know, whatever it may be. You won't be able to fix or replace it. You get what you get.
Yep.
And that's the end of it. So I was able to tweak it, fix it, you know, make it so the bride just was fully in love with it. And then that's it.
That's that
so,
full service.
You know, because not everything always goes as planned. Like sometimes the growers, like we ordered like pink and it came in more yellow. And they were like, how is this pink? Right. But this is what the flower farm considered pink. I'm like, this is not pink. Right. And then you have to call the florist and then, you know, where you get your florals. And I'm just like, this is not pink. Okay, send us a picture. And then you get a refund for it. So basically, I work extra.
Yes.
A little bit, but I'm like, the bride got a refund. So she didn't like it. It wasn't what, you know. So, and that's stuff you won't get for, you know.
Yes, exactly. So, well, I thank you so much again for being on, and we will be right back with our next segment. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of Little Falls, New York. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, and our events calendar. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling stories about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of local residents and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes store or sign up for our weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
All right.
You're complaining about the length of that commercial.
I didn't realize how long it was. I guess I don't listen to my podcast when they come out, and I evidently don't know it's that long. So anyway, now we're back with the and more part, which normally is a Dodgeville highlighted business, but anybody who knows me knows that I work with the DiamondDawgs for. And this is my first year not prior to like 10 years. So it's basically like a family situation up there. So I had all my choices that I was going to pick the owner or the speaker, the PA speaker. And I chose today's guest, Sal, because he has something really cool going on in his life, first off, not to mention being one of the ball players who I think has been doing pretty well this year, right? And then his new fiance, Elizabeth. So welcome, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Good. All right. Awesome. So basically there were two reasons why I wanted Sal on. A, he's a returner, so I kind of knew him already. The new players, I haven't really met any of them yet this year. And then secondly, Sal, obviously, because he had been on before 2 years prior with COVID and everything, followed him on Instagram and stuff. And I noticed there were some really cool quotes that some authors and speakers that I listened to, he was kind of reposting. So first thing we'll talk about is baseball. So, because everybody knows you as the baseball DiamondDawg pitcher. So how's your season going this year? Pretty well, or?
Oh, yeah, it's going pretty well. We're picking it up a little bit. Started a little rough in the beginning, but we're winning all our home games, so we just got to start winning on the road a little bit.
That's really good. Yep. And then, so basically, you decided to come back. Did you? Travis probably just asked you to come back, or did you kind of feel like this was, this year it's good to come back and stuff? Or
yeah, like the coaches at Lowell like to send you different places. You never really at the same team twice, but I had the opportunity to. He wanted to send me to a different league, but I'm like, I like this place. I was comfortable here 2 years ago. I really like the atmosphere, the fans. So I wanted to come back. I loved it here.
Well, good. Well, I'm so glad that you're back. And I'm so excited that I got to hear that you had a very exciting part with your life now. So Elizabeth is going to start a new journey with you, right? So they got engaged, Dave, if you didn't know, even though
I didn't know. I'm standing next to him every home game, and he never said anything to me. Wow. I think you should have asked my permission.
Right.
Really is where we're at with
this. That's that hometown feeling, family part that everybody feels like they all should have known that, we had to give the approval and stuff, but she has my approval anyway. So, right, Dave, we're good, right?
Yeah, we're good.
You guys are okay to get married. I have the
thank you.
So, yes. so tell me real quick how you guys met, and then basically I was going to ask you, like, what does faith play into you playing baseball and then going forward in your marriage? What are your plans for it? So first off, how'd you guys meet? So you want to go?
Yeah, we met at Lowell, Massachusetts in statistics class, actually. And I approached her and then got her number and asked her out. We went on a few dates, but that was actually before COVID kind of took over. So we had our first date, and then I went to spring break baseball, and they canceled our season while we were out. So I went home and I didn't see her for 3 months. But
after one date.
Wow.
She kept in touch with me.
That's good.
No, I wasn't very good at keeping in touch with her. Everything's a little running joke that she rated me a 3 out of 10 for after 3 or 8 months.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, that's it.
Oh,
it was
okay. But
he's a 4 now.
Oh, jeez.
I'm kidding. Definitely
you got a tough hill to climb there, you know.
You can only get better, though. Look at it that way. You can only get better now. So,
but yeah, we had our first date, and we got separated from COVID, and
it was such a blessing.
It was a blessing. Yeah, you can tell about it.
So when we started, we both weren't walking in faith with God, and then COVID happened, and then Sal kind of just made it known to me, like, I'm very faithful, and I have a background in the Catholic Church, but not really, doesn't have a play in who I am now. And I just got so far from that. And then God just kind of used Sal to come back into my life. And it was such a blessing in disguise, because we really got to like be honest with each other and appreciate each other and grow so much more in ourselves with God before we could together. So he played such a role in our relationship together. And so now, yeah.
So let me ask you the given. So for anybody who doesn't know, faith is, and you can call it faith, but I'm going to just call it as is, and hopefully I won't get censored, but being a Christian. So, he's looking at me. He's like, no, you won't get censored. So good. I'm glad. See? Right. Good. Yeah. So being a Christian is always
YouTube may cut you off, but I'm not going to.
I'm not really sure what platforms this is on. So anyway, but being a Christian has always been really important to me. And so where I might not like wear it on my sleeve all the time, but it's always been really important. So when I saw all the stuff that you were posting, there's been a few throughout the years that have gone on, and a couple are actually pastors and stuff now, but it's really cool to see as you're going through the stages of being a diamond dog, now getting engaged and stuff. It's great to see you living it out. So a lot of people too think it's this really hard life, and like, being faithful, probably, even more with baseball, like there's a lot of pressures and stuff. And, being separated from Elizabeth, from girls to not necessarily drugs, but all of the pressures of coming home, having a bad, whatever pitching. Sorry, I'm not good with baseball, but having a bad day and stuff. And then
10 years with the DiamondDawgs and you're not good with baseball? What is wrong with you?
I don't know. Pitchers have bad pitching days. They have the fly balls, or I don't know, whatever is a bad day for you in baseball. I'm not really sure, but
Sal, you have failed so badly.
I don't know what's a bad pitch for you. I don't know where it goes into the dirt or something. I'm not sure, but anyway,
yeah, that would be bad,
right? Yeah, so a bad day, or a bad press or whatever, and then her not being there, you could have the tendency to go out and want to party or do stuff like that. And it's a lot of times you see the guys at your age do not having that maturity and realizing, or I can't speak for you, but I'm sure praying before you do stuff is really important for you too, and being led by him to do what you need to do. And I think it's paying off. Honestly, I'm watching you for sure with everybody that you're around, and the kids think that you're a great role model and stuff, and it's just the way you carry yourself. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on today too, to talk about it, because it's a different aspect than what everybody thinks too. Sometimes, like, you see baseball players, they used to have a terrible name. This was when I was like your age in town. They were the partiers. You didn't want to be around them. They did, everything, wrecked people's houses, left, all these horror stories. And for you, there's something different, So I wanted to kind of highlight that with you, and especially getting engaged and committing now and all of that. It's great. So, how do you think it kind of plays into your life, being a Christian and being a baseball player still, and now almost a young married couple? I don't know when you guys are getting married yet, but you know what I mean?
We don't know.
Yeah. So how do you think that kind of factors into it? It's probably different for you now, right?
Oh, yeah, it is a challenging lifestyle in the sense that you're not going to be what the culture is being. Like there have been and there are today baseball players, and anyone in really any college age, they're going to go out, they're going to go party, they're going to drink, they're going to whatever. And it's hard to separate yourself from that, because that stuff's fun. But what's even more fulfilling is living for Christ. You know, living for something that's going to fulfill your soul, that's going to give you purpose in life, and that's going to really bring joy to you. You know, and
for sure.
Ever since that I've given my life to Christ, it's been a challenge, but I have set myself apart by His grace and His mercy and His strength. I've been able to set myself apart and just be different, you know, be a true Christ follower. There's a lot of people who say like, oh yeah, I follow Christ, but they don't live it, you know, and I'm really trying to live it, and I fall short every single day.
And that's very key. You try. That's the part. So, you know, everybody is imperfect in some ways. And, you know, I'm sure with you two and with me and anybody else that, you know, you have those moments that you have a really bad day or something goes wrong, but you try and then you get up and you do it again. So that's really encouraging to hear. So now I'm sure all of your friends on the team or whoever are going to hear, or young people might hear this. So what would you say to them if they were thinking of it? And, you know, back to the COVID thing, everybody had a lot of time to talk to God and think about it. And so now if they're like teetering, you know, what do you think? Now life's kind of back to normal. What advice would you give them?
Go on. Like she said, you know, she lives by that, you know, just go all in. Don't be afraid to be what she would call the weird Jesus girl, or like the, you know, don't be afraid to do it. It's so fulfilling, and it's brought so much meaning in life into my life. You know, I'm actually living. I'm not like just caught up in the parties, you know, not caught up in temporary things for eternity. And she had to live through that. We both did.
You know, what's interesting is there is a group of you on the team that pray before the games. So it's not just it's not just himself. I think there's like 6, 7, 8 of you that get together.
That's really cool.
So,
that was something they never really did when I was around. So that's really cool to say. Well, even that brings it up. So like the first year you played, were you kind of living this way, or was it after, you know, you left and came back or whatever?
It really, when I first met her and we got together was when I started taking serious steps living with Christ. Like I've always had that background, going to church, doing this, doing that. But like I never like took it serious. I never understood the power of Christ. I never understood all of that stuff. And I didn't start living until I met her. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to do this right. Like, and she's the first relationship I've ever truly given to God. And now we're engaged. You know? It's amazing. So I wasn't living that way in 2019, and I wasn't able to lead people towards Him in 2019. And this year it's different. You know,
I got a tough question for him.
Okay.
So if she wasn't that way with God, would you still be together?
No.
So it's totally dependent on that. That's the key, right?
Yeah, you can't be in a relationship with somebody who's not walking with Christ if you are, because, you know, He's your Lord and Savior. He's number one in your life. So how are you going to be with somebody that doesn't even believe in Him or want to be with Him?
They might.
But
maybe not at the same level. Would you still be together, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I know that when we started, Sal was more advanced than me in the relationship with God, and he was more living a life more of like Jesus. And but Jesus worked in my heart to make me walk that path as well. So it wasn't Sal, but Sal definitely helped move me towards that. But if I didn't start walking that way, then we would definitely not be together. There would just be too much conflict in so many different areas of our relationship.
Which is really cool, because there was, you know, back in the day when I was your age, now I feel old, and you know,
1 or 2 years ago,
graceful, thank you. But no, you know, that's when I grew up and stuff, and then you know, I swayed from it like a lot. The guys at baseball could tell you a lot too. I mean, over the years, but once, you know, Ben and I got together and stuff, it's one of those things that they always told you, the triangle thing. So if you're both looking at Christ, you're both going up, right? So even if it's like you're down here, nobody can see this probably, but you're down here. And
everybody can see that.
Oh, they can. Yeah. Okay, good.
Camera's on you. You were talking.
I forgot about the cameras, but you know, one person down here and another one up there. Eventually, if you're both looking at Christ, you're going to come to that same point together, and you're growing together. So, but that's the key point, though. You're not looking at Him, and He's not looking at you. You're looking at your relationship with God, and somehow it all comes together. So I think it's really cool that you guys are growing in that too. And then, you know, like I said, while you're here, it's really cool to see you guys. It's like a family up there. Anybody who's ever been up there is like a family. Once one of you gets engaged or has kids, it's everybody so excited for you. So Elizabeth's like, oh no, she hasn't been here as much as Sal has, but it is. It's so exciting. And like I said, when I saw that, and I, you know, obviously knew Sal a little bit and kind of could see where he was going with stuff. It's cool to be able to talk to you about it and get a new perspective on kind of how baseball's working this year. And, you know, all the other guys, it's great for them and stuff, I'm sure too, but you have a good perspective at this point.
Do the rest of the guys know? Because this is recent, right?
Yeah, I just posted, so I'm sure I'll get some comments on the bus or something today.
So yeah, you're gonna have a fun ride on the bus tonight.
I guess so.
Good. Okay, their parents know, so we're good, right? All your parents
so
know.
we could make an announcement like at the game, the home game Thursday night.
Right? Yeah. Just don't let Travis talk you into getting married at the field. I would sincerely suggest not doing that. So that's the only discouragement I'll give you on that. But,
you know, one of the best scenes I've ever shot out there was actually she and her husband holding hands. They're in the foreground and the fireworks are going off out of the field. And it's just really, did you see that shot?
I did. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But it was nice. So you could still think of the field.
Right?
I'm still, you know, it could be cool.
I would love that.
Right. Yeah.
On a baseball field, it's like, that would be a dream.
Yeah.
I knew you'd go for it.
Right. I would suggest probably not.
Pitcher's mound right there.
Right.
Let's see if you can reach home plate.
Yeah. It'd be interesting at that, but it'd be a dream, I think, of the team to have a wedding actually down there. But
that'd be very cool.
Yes, yeah, for sure. But no, I definitely want to have you guys on for that. And I mean, any advice to anybody listening or any other baseball players, like kids that want to be you, and not necessarily just in their Christian walk, but just want to be you as a baseball player. How important do you think it is? That you're a Christian or not a Christian, or you think God's given you a lot of strength for it, or naturally gifted, obviously, but doing it for a higher purpose. So what would you say to any young kid listening to you and wanting to be you?
I would say first get your life right with Christ. I know it's for me, it's the most important thing. It's what's gotten me to where I am today. It's what's made me to a better man each and every day.
For sure.
And through that, you're going to learn to work hard. You're going to learn what love is. You're going to learn all the important values of life. And don't let people discourage you from Christ. There's a lot of people who aren't going to live perfectly, and I don't live perfectly. Just find out who He is, who Christ is. Live that way, and then He's going to give you the power. You're going to follow His plan for your life. Just trust in that.
Absolutely.
Just trust.
Absolutely. And Elizabeth, do you have anything to say as being a soon-to-be wife of a baseball player for the young girls out there that are like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. I wish I had her life or anything,
No, my life is not glorious in any way. It's cool dating a baseball player though, especially since he's in this small town and everyone looks up to him. And he plays at Lowell, which is D1, which is cool. Yeah. But it's not as glorious as people think. Like he is working so hard every day. I don't get to see him for weeks, sometimes like a month at a time, which is super hard. But that's where, Christ comes into play for our relationship. We just got to trust in that. But to any young girl that wants to date a baseball player, make sure he has God in his life, because
for sure.
Other than that, he might not be that good to you.
I can agree with that, that's for sure. So, well, thanks so much for coming on today, guys. I'm so happy you guys could talk about it. And any last minute advice for them getting married? I mean, Dave, you've been married a few years.
Yeah, 20 years. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm sorry. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I got it.
Got it.
And
you knew I'd have something.
I knew it. I figured it's always nice. You'll hear all these little advice things now too as you're going on, so you can start writing a book on everything you're gonna hear. So, But we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. Got to give my plug though to the DiamondDawgs. So they are at MV DiamondDawgs, I think is their handle.
No, mydiamonddogs.com.
Yeah, okay, so mydiamonddogs.com. Yeah. I think they have a couple of games coming up this week. I think. Yep,
Thursday night and. What do we got? We got a Saturday one too, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No? I don't know. Who knows?
Doesn't know.
He usually knows because he goes and covers the game, so I would think he might.
Well, I know it's Thursday at 6:45.
Yeah, so yes, that's good.
You just go where they tell you to, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I do.
That's good to hear. Well, you did have a couple days off too this weekend, so that's nice. So so wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season and the rest of your life. I'm so glad you guys got to come on. So
for having us.
Yes, we'll stay in touch for sure, even after you leave, and I'm sure we'll hear about weddings and all this stuff going on. So,
but you never asked the key point. When is the date?
Oh,
I don't know. She needs to do this nursing school first.
Yeah, so probably next summer. Next summer or next fall.
I told her I'd go to City Hall. No,
Yeah.
we just went through the elope segment
know,
in the first part. Yeah, we did that already.
Yeah, so no, eloping is, you know.
No, the flower people, they don't want you to elope.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all. So, but it is your own choice, I guess. If you feel that's what you want to do. So, well, again, congratulations and thanks so much for being on, guys. So, we'll end it here. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation, and remember to connect with us, and we'll talk to you next time. You can find us the third Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. on My Little Falls Radio and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.